Hey guys, it's Tuesday, September 5th, 2017. This is the Daily Mix TV. We hope you guys had a fabulous Labor Day weekend full of, memories with friends and family, certainly grilling or hanging out at the beach or at the pool. Now, it's going to be one hell of a week now that summer is unofficially over and everyone's back in school and everyone's back to work. Though you really wouldn't know it in New York City, as we're having a 90-degree day here, especially after last week's fall-like weather. Now, speaking of the Big Apple, New York's hometown paper, the New York Daily News, has just been sold for $1. Deep-pocketed real estate and media investor Mort Zuckerman, who rescued the storied tabloid back in 1993 from rubble, has sold the paper to Tronc Inc. for $1, as well as assumption of all liabilities and pensions. Now that's valued at about $30 million. Tronc is basically the Tribune Company reimagined. They own the LA Times, the Chicago Tribune, the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, as well as the San Diego Union Tribune, amongst a myriad of other print holdings. Their focus is to try and bring traditional print into a deeper digital world by expanding their digital offerings as well as ramping up revenue online. Now, the company has been very strategic about its acquisitions, especially when purchasing former Tribune properties like the Daily News, which got its start under the Tribune banner. Hopefully, this new chapter in the fabled tabloid's history will revive its very tired pages and circulation. You see, sadly, the News's circ and online impressions have tanked over the last few years, thanks in large part to their slow adoption of digital distribution and the New York Post's constant promotion that seems to resonate with readers more, leveraging names like Page Six, my old friend Richard Johnson's The Man Who Knows New York column, as well as Alexa, which is their special section covering all things lifestyle like fashion, beauty, trends, real estate, and gifting, and more. Now, the Post also has a very aggressive subscription strategy, as well as a much more streamlined app and digital play that does allow users to read the paper much the same way they do the physical print edition. The only difference is instead of turning pages like this, you're swiping pages, but you can pinch and zoom to get closer into columns and things like that. It's an incredibly intuitive and easy to use app. Now, the Daily News, while it is an incredible and iconic tabloid, they just haven't managed to keep up pace against the competition. Tronc has sought to expand its chain to gain economies of scale as a decline in print advertising and relatively small gains in digital ad growth cut valuations for traditional media properties and newspaper brands. Now, the chain will operate in 10 major markets now, including New York, LA, and Chicago, and have more than 80 million unique monthly digital visitors in a statement that they made. This is an interesting move for Tronc. It certainly will save the Daily News, at least for a little while, given how bad things have been going. I mean, they've had layoff after layoff. Their circulation has dropped into the toilet. Their revenue is bottomed out. I mean, it's a pretty dire situation. So I'm happy to see that Tronc has stepped in. I just hope they have the chops to be able to bring this into the 21st century the right way. Now, has pumpkin petered out? Has the trend gotten to the point of saturation that has made people begin to turn off? Well, some analysts and trend forecasters believe that maple is making a huge comeback this fall, despite the avalanche of new pumpkin and pumpkin spiced-oriented limited offerings. The problem is when marketers and product developers chase a trend that has already hit its plateau, and we've talked about this before, to the tune where literally there are 49% more pumpkin spice-based products this year. This allows for another trend to sneak in and begin to erode significant share of voice. Hence why maple is making such a huge comeback. There's way too much pumpkin spice stuff in the market, and people are exhausted by it. Sales of maple-flavored products are up 86% in non-alcoholic beverages and 14.6% in spirited drinks in 2017. That's compared to the same quarter last year. Now, the other issue is human behavior. During times of uncertainty, whether it's political, economic, or personal, people tend to revert back to the things that remind them of better times or even their childhood. Now, as we've watched geopolitics hijack the conversation around the world, and much of it very frightening, people are clamoring for comfort. For many, maple is a childhood staple. Pumpkin spice? Yeah, not so much. Even Pantone, which we've talked about before on the Daily Mix TV, has cited autumn maple as a color and shade trend in New York for the fall. So needless to say, I think between all of this and the noise I've been seeing on social about how annoying the amount of pumpkin spice products in the market are, we're seeing, I think, the last year of the pumpkin patch taking over the end of summer and fall limited flavor offerings. But only time will tell, and we will keep an eye on this for you. Now, would you be interested in a dating app that isn't just about the superficial or looks or sex? Perhaps you're actually looking for a real connection versus just a swipe to the right for a good time. Well, my friend John Schenk, who's a tech investor and entrepreneur based in LA, he launched Taffy last week. Think of it as the anti-Tinder. It's not just about looks. As a matter of fact, it's about everything except looks. Much like other dating apps and sites, Taffy uses an algorithm to match you to someone based on specific criteria. But you don't get to see their face right away when you've made a match. You interact with a blurred photo of that match, and then the real photo gets revealed after some meaningful interaction. Now, that's not the only adventure this app will lead you on. Taffy offers up other options as well, including love, chat, and advice, so it's not solely for dating. You can use the app to make friends or just find people to have a conversation with if they're not in the mood for love. You know, it's apps like this that take what's already in the market, add a different layer and approach to it that does make the space so interesting. Congratulations, John. I know it's only a week old, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of changes to the platform, but it looks like you got a hit on your hands. Now, last week we talked about changes at Westfield and Simon that they're making in order to drive people back to their shopping malls. Well, Westfield's billion-dollar renovation of the Century City Mall in Los Angeles will now include a very cool Uber lounge. That's going to be where customers can wait in style for their rides. Now, Westfield has formed a partnership with Uber to facilitate use of shared rides at all of their malls across the country. The mall owner will create drop-off and pickup stations at every one of its U.S. properties, which will also then be featured on the Uber app. Now, the idea is to make pickups and drop-offs easier to build mall traffic, especially amongst Uber-obsessed millennials. The deal includes the introduction of Westfield's first permanent Uber lounge, which is going to be located at Westfield Century City in LA. They're just finishing up a $1 billion renovation that's set to debut this fall. Westfield Century City's Uber lounge will feature ultra-modern design, sleek seating, and customer amenities to let customers, quote, wait for their Uber in style, according to their press release. Now, moving forward, Westfield centers will host between 1 and 10 Uber stations, each with prominent visibility, accessibility, and signage. So that's going to be a lot like dedicated taxi stands or ride-sharing pickup points that you've started to see at arenas and stadiums in the last couple of years. At some of the Westfield destinations, though, the Uber stations will also include kiosks with customer service representatives and, quote, brand ambassadors trained to engage with customers and facilitate the Uber experience, according to the company. Now, this service is not new to LA. Caruso has for some time had a permanent pickup and drop-off location at the Grove. Anyone who goes to LA or watches TV knows how popular the Grove is. Last year, it was Uber's busiest spot in Los Angeles with more than 2,000 drop-offs daily. So this is a great way for Westfield to help reach a new audience, certainly expand their sphere of influence through partnership marketing. Good luck, guys. Now, Netflix just keeps knocking them down. They released season 3 of Narcos over the holiday weekend to endless amounts of fanfare on both Facebook and Twitter. Kylie and I are huge fans of this show. We started binging it yesterday. Now, while I was watching this, I'm starting to think about all the network shows that are going to be debuting over the next 60 to 90 days. It's going to be interesting to see how the studios and networks react to shows like Narcos, which has such a big fan base, as well as the originals on Amazon Prime and Hulu, all of which have made serious inroads in entertainment in the last year. Now, my point here is very simple. With cord cutting seemingly picking up pace, cable companies had better pick up the pace themselves on innovation, better pricing. Certainly services offered before streaming services turn them into the dinosaurs we all perceive them to be. Guys, this just in. Beyonce, George Clooney, Julie Roberts, Barbara Streisand, Reese Witherspoon, George Strait, and Oprah Winfrey are among the stars that have been booked to line up to appear in a 1-hour telethon set for September 12th. That's next Tuesday. That's going to raise money for Hurricane Harvey Relief. It's called Hand in Hand, a benefit for Hurricane Harvey Relief. It'll air at 8 o'clock Eastern Time across ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, as well as Country Music Television in a roadblock type fashion. Now, the telecast will originate from the Universal Studios lot, Times Square, as well as Nashville's Grand Ole Opry. Strait, though, is going to be performing in concert from the Majestic Theater in San Antonio. Proceeds from the event will be distributed to a range of charities that are aiding in recovery efforts in Houston. Unfortunately, the area was completely ravaged to the tune of almost $180 billion in damage. Harvey's wake left a lot of flooding, a lot of people who were displaced from their homes. This is one of the single worst storms in the United States' history, and unfortunately, Mother Nature is not done with us. As of 45 minutes ago, the National Weather Service has issued a warning that Hurricane Irma, which has been coming up out of the southeast in terms of the Atlantic, is set at a Category 5 and has targeted the Leeward Islands as well as Puerto Rico. Where it goes from there, it's projected to hit either Florida or the Carolinas, so stay tuned for that. My point in bringing this up, organizations like FEMA and the Red Cross are stretched very thin with Hurricane Harvey relief. If another historic storm hits the United States, the continental United States, we've got a serious issue on our hands in terms of relief, certainly what the government can bear in terms of liability. So we'll keep an eye on this one for you, but, for those who are so laser focused on Hurricane Harvey, and I don't mean to take anything away from my friends in Texas, be mindful of the fact that there is another storm that may very well hit us within the next 7 days, and there will be relief efforts that will need to happen if that does take place. But as I said, we'll keep an eye on it for you and circle back. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I'm the CEO of Hill Story Marketing. I'm also the editor-in-chief of The Daily Mix TV. We would love to hear from you, so please email us at thedailymixtv@gmail.com. Have a great rest of your day, guys. We'll catch you tomorrow on Hump Day.